everyone. Guess who's back? It's Kamish back here with another team preview. This time we got Tracy, a new owner, and Garbage Time Gamblers, an owner that I think is going to come in and make an immediate impact, especially compared to the previous owner. I believe the previous owner was 12-42 in their career. Just dreadful. So I think we've improved the ownership overall in terms of talent. And it all starts with Tracy. Like if you look at some of the offseason moves that Tracy has made, I think they're good ones. Isaiah Pacheco, I thought you stole that, him as a running back in a trade. And you also had a really, really good draft. So I'm excited to have you aboard. I think you're a little bit like Adrian. You're in and out. But both of you guys are really great owners. So I'm super excited to have you aboard. Just going to share my screen here and get into your presentation here. Close a few things. All right, so here we go. Garbage Time Gamblers for Tracy. And again, like I say, just has made this team a contender if we're getting this late in the previews. And again, remember, the previous owner had 12 wins in 4 years, 12 wins. Deuce got more than that in 1 year, just to put it into perspective. All right, so offense here for Garbage Time Gamblers, a power ranking of 6th. So last night we did Bills Mafia. He had a power ranking of 5th, so you're just ranking slightly below Bills Mafia in terms of where you are on the offensive side of the ball. We started quarterback, and maybe I gave you too low of a ranking here, and I'm starting to think maybe I did. I gave you a ranking of 9th, okay? So Trevor Lawrence, I think, is definitely ascending player. Like this guy could end up being top 5. Third year. Obviously, the first year had a coach that was a complete numbskull. Now has a great coach, right? And Doug Peterson, hopefully going to be that mentor for Trevor Lawrence, and not to mention more weapons for Trevor Lawrence, right? Last year it started with Christian Kirk and Evan Ingram. This year it's going to be Calvin Ridley going into the wide receiver stable after a year out of football. I think it's going to translate into success for Trevor Lawrence. And, when I look at your other quarterbacks now, Brock Purdy, I'd probably rank you 9th because there was uncertainty on whether or not Purdy would be the starter. All the reports I'm reading now say that if Purdy was healthy, he is the true number 1. And I think ultimately when the season starts, my prediction is Darnold will be the guy. But if he does struggle a little bit or just plays mediocre, Purdy will come in. And it's clear that that's what the stories are saying here so far in the offseason, at least what I've been researching. And then I also like the fact that you picked up Stetson Bennett on waivers. Matthew Stafford, I don't think is healthy. Could be the guy's last year, I think. He doesn't want to be part of a rebuild, obviously. And the injuries are catching up, right? So Stetson Bennett, let's not forget, comes from a championship program in Georgia. So it's not like the guy's a bum, right? So quarterback's 9th, I think, honestly, now that I'm looking at it, it's probably a bit too low for you, Garbage Time. But I like what you're bringing to the table and obviously picking up Purdy there. Running backs, this is where I'm giving you a ranking of 3rd. So top 3 in the league. C-Mac is a big part of that. So C-Mac seems to be the consensus number 1 running back by a lot of fantasy websites, etc., on who you should be picking first for running backs if you were doing a new draft. I already mentioned your steal of Isaiah Pacheco. I thought you stole him. I thought the trade was definitely to your benefit. Here's a guy that looked pretty good for Kansas City last year, not to mention he's in an electric offense, which I think definitely helps, obviously, again, attribute to your 3rd place ranking. Then you also have 4 guys here after the fact, or well, 3, I guess, that could potentially get you some points as well. Cam Akers, as far as I know, is the RB1 in LA. No, there's competition there now, but right now it is his job, I feel. Rashad Penny, I think, will have a role in Philadelphia, even though they've added some pieces, obviously. I think Rashad Penny still will have a role in that offense. I think he's a perfect fit for Nick Sirianni's offense, to be honest. Elijah Mitchell is the backup right now to C-Mac. So the benefit for you keeping Elijah Mitchell right now is if C-Mac goes down, well, you have Elijah Mitchell. And, when I look at dynasty running rooms, I always appreciate the owners that have the foresight to think, hey, you know what? I better find this guy's handcuff, especially if it's a top 3, top 5 running back. Because if that guy goes down, you can't lose that kind of point production and think you're going to be successful. So I like the fact that you have Elijah Mitchell. Amir Abdullah does get some points last year, I noticed, and Julius Chestnut is kind of a bit of a flyer. But the strength of C-Mac, Pacheco, Akers, and Penny, and even Mitchell getting a few snaps, I think puts you in the top 3, especially since C-Mac finally is on a team that I think he's going to, basically make a Hall of Fame career out of now, getting out of Carolina, small market, and getting into more of a legacy team like San Francisco. Wide receivers, I gave you a score of 6. So, again, top half of the league here. When I look at the wide receiver group, again, I'll compliment you on the fact that you drafted Quentin Johnston. Why am I complimenting you on this? Well, you have Keenan Allen, right? So Keenan Allen's near the end of his career. He's another guy you acquired in a trade, I believe, in the offseason, which I think also was to your benefit. And here you got his handcuff, right? Quentin Johnston's the guy waiting in the wings. I know there's been a lot of talk. Maybe this guy might not be as good as they think, but again, it's all talk right now, right? Nobody truly knows. We can all pretend to be experts, but until they get on the field, we don't truly know. And then Juju, obviously going to New England to, I guess you could say, be Bill's buddy there. I'm not a fan of Juju. I hate the guy. And I don't like the Patriots. I don't like Professor Bill, but he definitely goes into a good spot for you. Jahan Dotson, great receiver. For Washington entering his second year. I think this guy has a lot of potential. You got Cortland Sutton. Didn't have the greatest year last year with Russell. We'll see if he can improve on that. You also have Marquez Valdez-Scantling and Richie James, who are in that electric Kansas City offense. Wan'Dale Robinson entering year 2. DeAndre Carter's on a new team now, so we'll see if he gets more volume. And then Michael Wilson also was a draft pick that you made along with Quentin Johnston to just, bring some new, fresh talent into the wide receiver room. Michael Wilson's a guy that could end up having volume based on the landing spot. So I think the wide receiver group, again, I think you lack that true, top 10 wide receiver, to be honest. But you have guys that are going to produce, which attributes to the ranking of 6. Because, ultimately, we can draft up to 6 wide receivers a week. And you could go Keenan, Juju, Cortland, Jahan, Marquez, and then one of the other guys potentially. So, and with your running back stable, you probably wouldn't have to do that. So I like the group. I think there's a lot of depth there and guys that can produce. It just is lacking a true top 10, I feel. Tight ends, I ended up giving you a ranking of 11. So, wow, you think I got 5 tight ends, 4 plus 1 on the taxi. Why would you give me a ranking of 11th? Well, when I look at this, we got Hayden Hurst. New team again. This guy seems to be switched teams more than we switch underwear. Trey McBride, we'll see, right? Zach Ertz is still there. So again, we talked about this in other previews. Tight ends take a while, right? So you saw in the chat, Bill's Mafia and I going back and forth about his tight end room. Again, he's got 2 rookies. So that's why I have him middle of the road. You're worse than that right now because, again, you have second-year tight end Trey McBride, second-year tight end Daniel Bellinger, and now with Waller there, looks like his path to targets and volume is reduced. Harrison Bryant, same thing. His path to targets has reduced thanks to Jordan Aiken's arrival in Cleveland. Luke Schoonmaker, this guy could end up being the starting tight end in Dallas. So I also love that as a draft pick for you. I thought you had nailed your draft. I thought you did really quite well with some of the guys that you were able to pick up. Going into defense now, I got you a ranking of 2nd. So top 2. Definitely have a very, very strong defense. They say defense wins you championships. Not sure if that's going to be the case in LD. But when I look at your DLLBs, I think it's probably the best group in the league. You got Nick Bosa. You got Joey Bosa. You got Haason Reddick, Bradley Chubb, Josh Allen. 5 legit pass rushers that are going to get you a fair amount of sacks. Lorenzo Carter also has volume in Atlanta. And Mayfie's entering year 2. But the Bosa brothers, if those guys can stay healthy, we know what kind of impact they can make. Same with Bradley Chubb. If he can stay healthy, new team, he's going to make an impact. Then I also loved your draft again on the middle linebacking side. So Willie Gay, Shaq Thompson, already good middle linebackers. It's hard to believe Rashaan Evans isn't on a team yet, but you also picked up Jack Campbell and Dayon Henley in the draft, and ideally picked them before the linebacking run started in the draft. I thought that was brilliant. Jack Campbell was drafted really high. He's going to have a path to volume in Detroit. There's no doubt about it. So again, I like the middle linebacking group, especially the fact that you brought in the best rookies, it seems. And then DB, still think you're pretty strong, right? Kyle Hamilton, Kyle Duggar, Juan Thornhill, Jordan Fuller, all in that safety group that I really enjoy, where I feel you're going to get volume based on tackles. Juan Thornhill, I love his attitude in Cleveland. Like, I've been following him since he's got to Cleveland, and this guy's been, nothing but a great teammate. So to conclude here, Tracy, and again, I'll just reiterate, I'm so glad to have you here. You definitely look like a talented owner. You've made this team better. Looking at your draft outlook for next year, it even gets better. You got a first, 2 seconds, 2/3, a fourth, and 2/5. Really rebuilding this team the way it should be, getting out of that 12-win owner we had to be, and bringing some competition, hopefully, to that Yamato division for Adrian. Just want to say good luck this year, Tracy, and it's a joy to have you.